Hello there, RC again, and just so you know, this is version 3, Global War 1936 to 45. Alright, I'm going to do a video on control. And before I get right into that, we're going to probably have to describe who gets to control what and when. So the best way to go into this is in 4.7 of the rule book. Right inside of 4.7, right underneath, there's a table called 4-3, alignment, sphere of influence. This also includes control as well. All right, so let's kick it off with the Allies. If the Allies gain control of any neutral minor power that's in North or South America, because the Axis have attacked it, it goes to the U.S. Anywhere else on the map, anywhere besides North and South America that any neutral minor power gets attacked, it automatically goes to the British Commonwealth major power. Now that one, as you may or may not know, is split up into different roundels. So whatever the nearest roundel happens to be, there's not a lot of neutrals next to Canada, so it's probably not going to go Canadian. For example, if there's a neutral nearby in Europe, the Middle East, or Africa, whatever the nearest British roundel is, this would be the one for the British. So anything in here would go British, right? Now, here's a quick little example in Iran here of where it might go to the FEC. Now, the British own this place here. It doesn't actually touch that one. So 1, 2, right? That's the nearest British roundel. Or from that one, 1, 2, right? Now, from this side, you got 1. So anything in Iran or Afghanistan would go to the FEC if that happened to become in need of control. And anything close to the Australians or the Anzac would go to the Anzac here. Here's a prime example. We have Portuguese Timor here, and I believe that's about it. So that's where the control of that would go to, unless, of course, there's something special in the rules, right? Now, if the Allies attack anything, it goes to, or if the Allies or the Comintern, which would be the USSR, attack anything, it's a minor, it would go to the Germans. Anywhere in North or South America, anywhere in Europe, anywhere in the Middle East, anywhere in Africa. And once we get to India, anything past India into the Pacific region would transfer control or alignment to the Japanese. Now, for the USSR or the Comintern, there's only 2 places that they would take control. That would be Mongolia here. If anybody attacked it that's not Russian, the control of this would go to the USSR. And the same thing happens over here in Spain. If the Spanish Civil War is completed and the Russian-controlled red units here won, and these guys in the purple got eliminated, then if anybody attacks Spain, it would go to Russia as control or alignment. All right, so that's kind of a basic gist on who gets what and when. You'll be able to find all that in table 4-3 in the rule book and section 4.7, alignment and control conditions. Now, that is that. So just remember, what I'm going through here is the generic rules. There will be specific rules for the neutrals and how you control them in Spain in the Civil War, in Abyssinia for France versus Italy, and in China with the warlords in white, the red CCP and the KMT. That will be in section 13 of the rule book. They describe those clearly, and there are a few things in those that are a little bit different than the examples I'm going to give. All right, so that's control, or who gets to control what. Now, while you're controlling it, that's something kind of important to know. So there's actually 4.5 in the rule books just details the term control is a limited level of decision making a nation may have over a non-aligned minor power, and a nation gains control over a minor power as per table 4-3, which I just went through, when it is attacked. So when a minor power has been attacked by a major power, and it becomes controlled, which means that the major power controlling it is not also at war with the major power that attacked the minor. The major power controlling it may move the minor power's units, including combat moving those units against somebody they're already at war with, which would be whoever attacked them, and making a recruitment roll each turn on a d12. And with the recruitment roll, you can find the details on how to do a recruitment roll specifically in section 11.5 of the rule book, but I'll just basically spell it out for you here. You count up however many land zones they have with a roundel on it that you control. You roll a d12. If you get that number or less, you either get 1 free infantry or 2 free militia, and you can place them together or separately on any of those land zones that have that roundel. No factory is required, you just put them down. Alright, but while you're the major power controlling a minor, you may not use the minor power to declare war or take actions that put that minor power at war with any additional major powers or minor powers. You may not collect income for that minor power of any kind. You do the recruitment roll instead. You may not send lend-lease from the minor power to yourself or anyone else. You may not research technology for that minor power or engage in any other diplomacy for that minor. All right, and that is all detailed clearly in table 4-2 in the rule book. And it's not that much of a complicated deal here. So the next section I'm going to show is going to have a variation from version 2. So for those players who have seen some of my previous version 2 videos or played version 2 game, some of this stuff is going to come as a bit of a, you're going to see that some of the stuff is pretty new, and you'll find that in section 9 of the rule book. I'm going to give you a couple examples in a second here, but it's probably best if you know what I'm talking about before we just jump right into it. Of course, trying to find that on a tablet is driving me nuts because I'm not finding section 9 as fast as I'd like to. Alright, section 9. So when you defeat a minor power, typically any power surrenders when it loses its home country and all the units in said home country, as well as its capital. Now, when you defeat a minor power, this is in 9.24 it describes this quite clearly. The player that controlled the minor power maintains control of all the nation's colonies and the forces and all naval units that are not in the lost home country. The minor power then maintains the ability to move those units and do a recruitment roll. So that's what you got, right? So if you, and here, let's do 2 examples here. I'm going to show you one. This one's in the rule book in this section here. For Germany, let's say Germany attacks Belgium, and Belgium becomes controlled by the British as I described because it gets attacked by an Axis power, which is Germany. Let's just say they won. Now this here is the Belgian home country of Belgium. They lose that. So in version 2 rules, they would have surrendered. But in version 3 rules, sorry, I'm just about tripping on cats. In version 3 rules, they don't surrender, which means that Britain, for the Belgian Congo, which is its only colony, will maintain this unit. In the version 2, this unit would have been removed, and this would have just been controlled by Germany. They would have collected Britain. They would have collected no money. But now in version 3, they get to keep the unit, and they get to do a recruitment roll. There's only one land zone with this roundel, so it's a roll of 1 on a d12 die. Every time they get a 1, they can either add 2 more militia to this stack or give them a free infantry. No factory required. All right, so that's how that's one example. Now I'm going to show you another example that's not that uncommon in several games I've played. It's not always going to happen, but let's say the Russians decide to float in a transport, and we'll say they brought some naval power in there to shoot the Portuguese guy from with a shore bombardment. Let's say they win this with no losses. Well, this here is the Portuguese home country, as you can see by the bright, vibrant roundel. But Portugal still got a boat here, and it's got 7 colonies with the muted roundel, right? So even though it's lost all the units in the home country, and it's become Russian possessed, the Germans would then control anything that the USSR attacks, right, in Europe, which means the Germans maintain control of this naval vessel and all the colonies and any units that are in them. So let's do a quick flyby here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a militia, and then 7 way over here up by Australia. So that's 7 land zones that they own and that they control as Germany, plus that Navy ship. So if they can get that Navy ship past the Russians, they might be able to say bring it all the way down to here where these guys are at this minor port. They'd be able to say lend lease money to upgrade that to a major port maybe. They'd be able to send some lend lease to these guys if they wanted to and give them some new units. They'd be able to do a recruitment roll at 7 or less to get some more dudes, and 1 through 7 out of 12 is better than 50%. So odds are they're probably going to get some stuff, and these would stay in control of Germany until they're at war with the major power here, Russia. All right. Now let's say I've seen it once, probably not going to see it too often, but let's just say Germany did something totally wild and crazy. They're currently controlling Portugal here, and they didn't prepare properly, and they attack the Polish and the French, and they utterly get horribly destroyed with the dice, and they fail miserably. Now, the French and the British crush Germany. Germany surrenders. Well, Germany has now surrendered, but these are controlled by Germany, right? Because of what Russia's done. Russia's not at war with Germany, so if Germany's not at war with Russia, then these don't become German. They're just controlled by Germany. So now when Germany surrenders, you'll find this in Section 9 of the rule book as well. This is 9.22, defeating a player nation. And it describes that any controlled miners that a surrendered country like Germany, for example, has under control, it's allowed to give control of its own controlled miners away to somebody else in its alliance. So Germany has the choice, as the player of Germany, to give it to the player in Italy to now control the Portuguese, or it can give control of that to the Japanese. It's the player's choice. All right. So that's an interesting thing that could happen there. So even if Germany loses, anything it's controlling, the control of that would still stay with that alliance. It would just go to a player of its alliance's choice, made by the one who did that. Now, there's a couple of things that you could do different from this, but I mean, there you go. That's a general gist of how control works and what happens if you say surrender while you're still controlling something. Some interesting things there. And if you needed to find any of that stuff in the rule book, I've detailed where it was, but briefly, Section 4, Section 9, and Section 11 in the rule book. And anything special like conflicts that are already ongoing with controlled miners would be found in Section 13. So if you have any other things you would like me to cover in this video series, as always, leave me a comment in any of my videos and say, hey, I didn't quite get this, or can you do it again, or I want to see a video on blah rule. I'll take a look at that, and if I can get a clear answer for you and do a good video, I'll get it done for you. All right, so I'll take suggestions. All right, RC here saying see you later. Enjoy your game.